So, in the meantime, we are going to transition now on to bad OCs. So, going back in the same order we presented the good OCs, let's start off with Commander.
Okie doke.
Ba-ba-da-ba-doop.
So, this week, I brought to the table, Charmed Clover. This is sort of a good part, too. I don't have huge distaste for this character, but it's just a little bit. So, Charmed Clover was born in, Dubmare, Ireland. He's half Irish, and moved to the city of Manhattan at a pretty young age with his parents. And at that young age, he couldn't quite go to school, so when his parents had to go to work, they just sort of entrusted his neighbors to babysit him, which is where the oranges come into his life, who I'm assuming were the neighbors, given the context. Fast forward a couple of years later, a small filly by the name of Applejack came into the mix. Charmed and Applejack became great friends over time, and being the only fillies in the apartment, and not being old enough to go really outside too much by themselves, except for the fact that she just traveled to Manhattan by herself, they were all they had. As the weeks turned to months, Charm began to like Applejack more and more until he worked up the nerve to ask her out on a date. Coincidentally, at the same exact time as the event of the Sonic Rainboom, and after the subsequential boom and power had come back on, Charmed knocked on the door of the Oranges expecting Applejack to answer, and the news of Applejack's departure without even a goodbye was pretty devastating to him. But it didn't entirely break his spirits, and hours afterwards he packed up his belongings, said his goodbyes to his parents, determined to find that apple mare he so loved, and with some helpful pointers, he set out for Ponyville.
Wait, hold on. So my problem with this is the fact that did he just leave and go, oh, I'm going to go find her in Ponyville? Or did he talk to the Oranges and say, yeah, they have a little farm, or did he just set off and not even think about it?
Don't worry, I'll find her by the light of that rainbow. Let's go the opposite direction.
Yeah. So the rainbow came from this direction, so that's obviously where she's going. What's a Ponyville?
And then, how did he get his cutie mark?
So, going on, for a few things, it says the cutie mark meaning is partly his birthplace, which I'm not too keen on that, and a joke, maybe he got his in some, poison joke, because it's a joke about his lack of luck, and he's not very lucky.
That's not what a cutie mark means.
It's not what a cutie mark.
It's not. So his role is that he runs an Irish souvenir shop and helps apples during the harvest season. And his parents and brother live in Manhattan currently.
And he co-runs a knick-knack shop.
Apparently, while also helping the apples during the harvest season, does he still have a thing with Applejack? Did he find her? It's really ambiguous. Kind of points to that.
Why is this OC interacting with a main cast member?
Yeah, and that is basically, that idea is the main reason why this is on my bad.
Well, at least it could still work within the universe, because there was so little said, and this didn't go against anything that we already know. And Twilight did have a brother for all of her life who she adored, and then all of a sudden, oh hey, he's getting married. We've never heard of this guy. Oh yeah, he's the best. Oh,
you've never heard of him?
Oh yeah, he's the best. So yeah, a thing like this could totally happen.
It could.
I just like the fact that it didn't go against anything that we already know. So, good job working around.
Yeah, as far as a liking and interacting with main cast goes, this is a lot more on the low-key, like, withstandable side. It's not like my character is engaged to Applejack and is a major part of her life, and this happens at the time of some episode where we obviously know this is not a thing. But, as far as that goes, you did well. However, it is something I would recommend straying away from because it's sort of shoehorning your character into the main cast. And I don't know. But
you know how hard I've been trying to write my character in with Rarity, and this fucker comes along and is like, "Oh, I'm just gonna do it this way." You just don't. You just don't.
But because one thing that's really interesting is it is never described how long Applejack is in Manhattan.
True.
So that's one thing.
Probably. I don't remember, at least.
It wasn't. I don't think he was explicitly described. It was just sort of like, "Hey, I went there, and then I was all fancy, and I didn't fit in, and then farm, yay." But I do think that they played off that pretty well by saying that it was a few months, and it gave it time for them to sort of become good friends and stuff like that. But things that I do like, I really like the aesthetics and the colors of this character. Like, love them. Browns, which, I mean, it's not super autumn fall, but like, I think of those, it makes me think of like an autumn like scene, because I don't know, I see stuff like those colors all the time in autumn, and right now, which is barely autumn anymore, it's closer to winter.
Not a fan of the cutie mark specifically, because yes, you work at an Irish shop and the joke is the luck of the Irish, lucky Clover thing, but what's the special talent there?
Well, it's the fact that he's not lucky.
That's
Then
not a
make
talent.
it a 4-leaf clover with one of the leaves falling off.
Or it on fire.
Also, that's not a destiny or a
That's
special
not-
talent,
yeah.
which
It's
cutie
not
marks
even
are
close.
described as.
But besides that, he's pretty fine. He's not too offensive with his color scheme. It's actually quite relaxing to see someone who's not all on my face with their design.
I like the color brown.
It's good. I don't mind it. It's good.
I think this character, despite the things that I consider kind of faults, I think it pulls it off really well, has a good color palette. I think the cutie mark needs a little bit more work to make it more of what a cutie mark is, like a special talent. But honestly, it's a pretty good pony.
Fantastic. So, moving on to the next one, we're going to take a look at what Smooth brought to the party. So, Smooth, why don't you tell us about this next episode you got going on?
This
For good part two.
is Autumn Breeze. Unfortunately, as far as I know, she was not submitted with a lot of information. So, yeah. As tall as Applejack, so average mare height. She is the age of a teenager to young adult, so right on the cusp of owning your own business. And whatever else job and life entails. And her cutie mark is 3 leaves just spinning around each other. And that is, unfortunately, all there is of this character. What does exist of this pony, I'm at least somewhat okay with, but there are a few things here and there. And then there's just the lack of information. I know, I feel like I'm always that guy that goes on and on about aesthetics and like, oh man, this thing and this thing and this thing, but I also really like backstory existing. I hope I've gotten that across, that I really want more information about characters. So definitely should make more characterization about this pony. Unfortunately, since there isn't much to go off, I guess we'll go on to aesthetics then. I generally like her color palette, though I'm not a fan of the colors red and green, so I feel as though I'm biased against them in this respect. Do they seem fine to you guys?
I like the style of the palette. However, I feel I'm not exactly sure what it is about the colors. There's just something that they feel like, I guess, muddied or something, and I don't know. It's weird.
I think it kind of fits with the brown, but the green just... Well, the green and the yellow of the mane have that muddiness to them, but the red doesn't. Though my least favorite color of the mane is the green.
Yeah, I can agree with that. Like, it's not really bad, but it's just off.
I think I know why. I think
why?
Because the outline is red, it seems to clash against it. Obviously, Rainbow Dash does that thing with her mane and tail, where it's
Rainbow Dash is totally...
Yeah.
Everything.
Yeah. So we're just gonna stop that sentence right there.
Yeah.
But it seems like the green does the whole muddy feel a little more than the yellow, and obviously the red doesn't do it, like, at all. So the yellow seems almost like it fits more with the red. Also, for an autumn theme, green usually isn't one of the colors, especially not a really muddy green like that, because the green has usually gone to brown or yellow or red or other colors along those lines, or orange and stuff like that, because those are the colors of autumn, kind of thing. I'm correct in that, right? Green isn't one of the colors of autumn, or am I just...
No, green...
It's definitely less common. Definitely less common.
It's less common, but it's there.
Oh, well.
There can be green, but I think orange is the prevalent color.
Yeah, orange and brown.
Yeah.
It definitely helps that green is not a very close to orange color, whereas red and yellow are, the things that make orange,
Oh.
Yeah. And that brown's usually just a darker version of orange.
Yeah.
Yeah. Green definitely seems to be incredibly out of place in a color palette like that.
Yeah, it definitely is the one that I would say fits the least. And maybe it's just those specific ones. It's hard to exactly say for sure. Because it's just... I feel it's a bit too muddied and, like... I don't know. I feel it should be a little bit more crisp. And stuff. Maybe... Like, I was thinking... I'm not sure exactly how to make this work, but having... Because... I don't know. I guess having something like the coat color or something similar to that in that green
should definitely use darker outlines.
Yes, or one thing I was thinking would be having something like that brown that's the coat instead of the green in the main, and then having a lighter color for the coat maybe might work.
Maybe.
Because I feel like... Because I think the brown mixes really well with the yellow and red.
Maybe just make the green closer to brown instead of green. I really like the coat color. And I sort of like how it works with the red and yellow. It just seems odd.
Yeah, there's just definitely something about the colors that it's hard to place what to do.
I generally like the design of the mane and tail, though.
Yeah, I think it needs a little bit more just standardization of like the lines, but that's very trivial.
And maybe like a fringe or something on the top of the tail to match with the fringes in her mane.
Yeah, something, and that would definitely be something to look at. But yeah, because
maybe like just one.
Yeah,
like going in the direction of her tail, not going up against it.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
But I feel the reason why, like, I'm just sort of saying that standardization, I think a better way of explaining it is ponies, there's a lot of, like, swooping fluid curves, and there's very few times where it, like, has these, like, little, like, it's shaky or anything like that, or, like, has, like, these little tiny, like, waves in the main tail. It's much more of these, like, grandiose swoops and curves that, and there's as few as possible. It seems to be something that happens a lot in the show, except for Celestia and stuff like that. But that's different. Her mane is like an ethereal, like external, like multi-dimensional thing.
I like wavy hair.
Oh yeah, and I have no problem with wavy hair. I'm just giving my opinion.
It just doesn't happen on Smolpe very often.
Yeah.
Last thing I guess I really have to say, besides that she's pretty cute, is that the cutie mark completely maybe not fully out detailed maple leaves that
That was the only thing I was going to say.
I think the better option with this would be a more cartoony maple leaf, much like the Canadian flag. Not to say the Canadian flag is cartoony. I don't want our Canadian viewers to be like, oh, blah, blah, blah.
It's more simplistic in art form, which makes it easier to visualize, easier to make, easier to work with, than in comparison to, like, the Mexican flag, which is incredibly highly detailed. I like both of them. I don't prefer one over the other. I'm just saying they're two completely different styles of doing things. And for an MLP kind of thing, simplistic would make more sense.
Yes. Outlines with, like, a standard color as the whole thing, without having actual outlines. Usually the way you want to go.
As Commander said, possibly the brown into the mane and then switch the coat color, or maybe what I said and just make the green brown instead. Or the eye colors seem to work. Can't believe didn't say that, but the eye colors seem really good. And the thing about the cutie mark and maybe style of mane tail. Other than that, seems like a good character. More description, please. I mean, she's good. Part 2.
Right on. Fantastic. So, thank you for that one there.
Oh, yeah.
Command Smooth.
You're welcome. Command Smooth.
Next, we're going to take a look at what Mitty brought. So, Mitty, tell us about this OC.
Well, this is Kieran. Kieran is a Kieran of the Qilin. It's a type of unicorn that, according to Chinese myth, ushers a signal of destruction and disaster.
Oh, brutal.
And she will be part of an MLP comic coming soon by Queen's Ransom.
Yeah. I'm down for that.
That's about all we know about this character.
Damn it.
They're also in an AU.
AU?
Very, very, very sad. So... Just for everyone watching, definitely not in MLP.
Not normal tone. Mm-hmm.
I like this pony's design. She is really cute, but it has a very mysterious look to her.
Hmm.
I think this is kind of original. I'm not sure if what the Qilin is exactly, or Kieran's, because when I looked up Qilin, I got just a bunch of dragons.
Well, that's pretty much what a Kieran is. It's like another form of a Japanese dragon.
Okay.
But it's more of a pony.
Well, it's Chinese.
Yeah, Chinese, whatever. Anyway.
Oh.
We're going to get so many comments about
how wrong we are.
But besides that, I really like the design of this OC. It definitely gives me kind of like a mysterious, like, ancient pony type of look to her. She definitely has like a weird horn going on. That's kind of weird. That's interesting. I want to know more about that. And if she's supposed to be, like, dragony, she looks like she has scales.
Oh. didn't that...
I thought more rocks is what that reminded me of.
Yeah.
Just because of the shade and the color and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I like her mane. It looks really nice, and I like the little bit of highlights of green at the tips. Definitely gives me kind of an ancient-y feeling. Ancient-y, like autumny, wintry feeling.
I get kind of more of a spring vibe, but I can see the autumn, I guess. I find it odd where she has the scales on her ears. That would seem like a place where they wouldn't go up. That almost seems like it makes it more difficult to use them correctly. I don't know how scales work. I assume they flow correctly, but I guess it would actually, never mind, be more convenient to have the scales on the ears. So if like an archer tried to clip your ear, because I'm pretty sure ears are really sensitive.
Probably.
So like an ear would definitely be a place that could be hit, especially since they protrude like that. So having scales on those to knock away arrows would actually be a very good thing. Yeah, I guess it just looks weird to me. Her mane seems to be much more disheveled in comparison to her tail, and it's not by a lot, because it seems her mane does connect a lot, especially more than like other manes do generally when they're drawn, but it still has a lot going on, whereas the tail's just kind of whoop, whoop, and whoop.
Finally, let's wrap up with the OC I brought to the party. I brought Candy Cupcake. Now, as opposed to Medi, where he didn't bring in his OC because he brought in his bad OC because it didn't have that much backstory. This one, I brought in because it doesn't have any backstory, and the colors are all over the place. They're fairly, crazy. And, yeah. So,
although with a name like Candy Cupcake, what did you really expect?
Well, I don't, and that's what I want to, it's more, I want to know, it's not like what I feel about it. I want to know what you guys think of it more likely. So I'm not going to say anything about this to start off. I'm going to let you guys go.
Besides the fact of how the shading is done, which, just to let everyone know, Smooth used to work with pixels and stuff, so shading like this and really angers me, but especially since it's nowhere close to show style. But, you know.
Yeah, this is very stylized.
Yeah. Whatever. I'll look over it because it's technically irrelevant. Though, I'm not sure how I can look over it, since it stretches and skews how things look so much. It makes it almost kind of difficult to see things as they are or should be, because they're changed so much to where the darkest shade of a fill is darker than the outline color, and that's not a thing that should ever happen. It's not a thing that should ever happen. It's kind of painful to look at. Also, with all of those shades, generally, mass amounts of shading like that should not be used in pixelated art or with highly pixelated art, like this, I suppose. Instead of using mass amounts of gradients or things like that, it's just not easy to do. Most definitely not easy to do. But going on to the actual colors, blue and brown, automatically I'm like, ugh, good luck. And then adding in pink And in the cutie mark, there's also purple and
green
and magenta. And I'm just like, ugh. Brown doesn't go well with, like, any of those colors, usually. And you're gonna try to add it to all of them? Yeah, where did the choice of brown come from? I love the color brown, but it just doesn't work well with a lot of colors.
I think the brown comes from the name Candy Cupcake and maybe having some sort of a chocolate cupcake sort of thing, maybe?
I guess I can see that, yeah. That makes sense, I suppose.
If I can sort of justify this a little bit just because of the fact that all these bright colors can be considered frosting on top of a base of just whatever.
Okay, yeah, I mean that actually makes a lot of sense.
And the like blood that's all over her hooves, that also kind of has a textured look to it that makes it look like it's some sort of like glittery red frosting.
And you could even say that the leg warmers on there are added things like gumdrops or things like that you'd put on top of a cupcake if you really wanted to go overboard with it.
Or the wrapping around the bottom of the cupcake.
Freaking dang it, man. You're making me like this OC. Like a lot.
Fuck. Shit. I mean, no, it's bad. Shit.
I like the vibrant colors a lot. However, I'm not a huge fan of the way that it transitions between the blue and the pink in like the mane and tail and stuff. I like the two colors. It just seems like a weird way that they fit together. I like it more in the mane. In the tail, though, it just seems weird because it just has this random strip in the middle that doesn't get connected to the body at all, and that's not how hair works. So I don't know. I don't know how exactly I feel about the whole like glittery frosting stuff on like the hooves and the ear. I think that it like having the whole cupcake theme has to make a little bit more sense, and it's just I'm not huge on them. But I like most of the colors though, honestly. And I think it's really cool how it's stylized. Is it perfect? Debatable. But it's not awful or really even that bad.
I really like the general design of the mane and tail, though the tail going out is incredibly thin and then gets absolutely gigantic. And I'm just like, no.
I don't get it. Is she like a donut?
She's a cupcake.
She's a cupcake. She looks like a donut.
How
those are like sprinkly frosting bits.
Those are,
and like the inside is like the normal donut.
Those happen on cupcakes too.
Yeah, you get sprinkly frosty bits on cupcakes as well.
No, don't lie to me.
What boring ass cupcakes are you thinking of, Medi?
None, because I don't eat cupcakes, because I'm not a fucking loser.
I don't eat cupcakes either, but I still know that. Come on, get out of here.
I like cupcakes.
Her kitty mark also looks like a ball next to an upside down baseball cap with ice cream in it.
It's an ice cream filled wheelbarrow, clearly.
No, it isn't.
I don't know why people don't understand that.
It actually looks.
to
me looks like, a cupcake with frosting on it inside of its cupcake wrapping on top of a wheelbarrow for no good reason.
Commander, what do you see?
I don't even know what I see, to be quite honest. Like,
case in point, it's not clear enough.
That is definitely, I'd say that is definitely the least well thought out part.
What does this make you think of? Yes, go on.
Euroc sucks psychiatrists.
Psychologists. Get out of here.
Euroc sucks therapists, where we look at cutie marks like ink block tests.
Rorschach's, yeah. So, a lot of these things that are trying to come together to make a conceptually interesting or cool pony are failing and not necessarily showing through enough. I think
I just want to know what the hell that cutie mark is.
Exactly. And the things that, like Smooth said, the cutie mark is pretty damn ambiguous. So, why not try it again? Do what you try making this pony a couple more times, and then
maybe don't put in all of the shading. Just go with the base colors. It's easier on the eyes, and people can just be like, okay, yeah.
So thank you, Me, for bringing that in. No problem, Me. But that means we get to move on to voting. So we're gonna vote for good OCs. First, I brought in Sheercliff. Commander brought in Cleary Dawn. Medi brought in Clutterbell. And Smooth brought in Sugar Rush. Now, going back in the same order we presented in and not voting for the same pony you brought to the party, Commander, who do you vote for this week for Best OC?
So, I liked, for the most part, all the OCs this week, but I think I'm going to have to give mine to Clutterbell. Just thought she was really cute.
Yay!
Yay! Smooth!
I'm gonna give mine to Cleary Dawn. Clearly it's Dawn.
Mm-hmm.
Duh.
Clearly.
Get it together, guys.
Of all the OCs brought in this week, no, I wasn't really grabbed by too many of them. I don't know why. Maybe I'm just... But I think Clearly Dawn was probably the best of them.
Cleary Dawn, not Clearly.
Or... Is it Cleary Dawn?
Yeah.
Yeah, Clearly Dawn. Yeah, she was probably the best of them.
I like Sugar Rush the most.
So
Commander wins.
This week. I think it feels like it's been a while since I won good.
Well, there was a time there where I was out in like 3 in a row almost.
There was also a time there when Commander was undefeated.
Yeah, seriously. Because fuck you, Commander. So, moving on to bad OCs, I brought in Candy Cupcake. Commander brought in Charmed Clover. Medi brought in Kieran. And Smooth brought in Autumn Breeze. So again, going back to the same order we presented in, and not voting for the same pony you brought to the party. Commander, who do you vote for?
I don't know. It's difficult. I'd say the one that I liked the least would probably be Kieran, though. I don't know. There were some very over-the-top things in Candy Cupcake, but I liked it as a concept overall. And Autumn Breeze, I liked the general direction they were going. But I don't know. Kieran, it was just not my cup of tea. I guess.
Though I'm going on kind of same thing, Kieran's not my cup of tea. However, the things seem to work very well without needing to be explained too much. Whereas for Candy Cupcake, it was sort of this, but this doesn't make sense, and we couldn't figure a few things out even when we tried to logic them out. So I'm actually, though I really liked her, going to give my vote to Candy Cupcake.
My vote's probably going to go to Candy Cupcake as well.
Kieran's got me she's got me hooked. Clover's like, yeah, it kind of, but then Breeze. I gotta give it to Charm Clover. So that means I win Bad OC!
Yay!
Yay!
Let's celebrate with cupcakes.
You and me. Yeah! Oh, it's so good. Moving on to questions this week. What kind of questions did we get this week?
We got
there,
one question. This was submitted to us quite a while ago, and from November 13th, actually. It's submitted to us by Vert Ayara, Ayara. And it's, have you guys ever had a heart attack / diabetes attack / cuteness overload?
With cuteness.
We've had ponies on the show where we're just like, God damn, this pony is too fucking sweet. But honestly, where people joke around about things being just too fucking cute or just being like, oh my god, it's cute. Not, honestly, not really. I mean, I say that a pony is super, super cute, but no, I don't ever have to be like, oh my god, so cute. I never do that. I've yet to see a pony that does that for me.
I don't do that much. I feel like I did that more a while ago when I was a little bit newer into the fandom, at least. And then I was like, I'm just gonna look at really cute pony pictures. And then I remember I saw like a super cute picture of Twilight, and it was like, I think it was like just after the season 3 finale, and it was her like as like a foal, but in her like princess get up and like super just like trotting around, and I was just like, oh my god, it's so cute. But that's the only time I can specifically remember.
I know I don't specifically remember any incidents, but I do remember a lot of it happening while watching Equestria Girls 2. Oh my god, Sunset Shimmer. Fucking changed a lot of opinions with that movie. I loved you from the beginning, girl.
And for me, I think I may have done it a few times, but I have little to no knowledge of when, where, what circumstances. I just generally don't feel that. Though I am the everything so cute guy, I generally don't actually feel the hit of cuteness until, like, I think about it more than I probably should.
Thank you for all those questions there, Mehdi, all of one of them. If you have any questions, you being the viewers, or if you happen to have an OC that you would like us to critique, feel free to send them in to us. And Mehdi, why don't you tell them where they can send in those ponies and questions and other more silly bits for us?
Well, Mummified, you can send in all your questions, OCs, and fan art if you want to at eurocsucks.deviantart.com, at eurocsucks at twitter.com, eurocsuckspodcast at gmail.com, and eurocsuckspodcast.tumblr.com.
Next week, we're going to be back into our little mini special guest block. Hopefully to be able to wrap up the rest of this year. It's going to be another random episode. It'll be whatever the special guest feels like. If they don't feel like a theme, they don't feel like a theme. If they do feel like a theme, it's going to be that theme. But as of right now, we don't have a theme. So the theme is just going to be a special guest. Much like what we just did with Taps. Which, by the way, thank you to Taps one more time for joining us. If you haven't watched that episode, go watch it. It's lots of fun. But in the meantime, I want to thank every one of you for coming out. Keep an eye out for us next week when we, like I said, we'll probably have another episode involving a special guest. But in the meantime, my name is Mummified Thunderbirds. I've been joined by
Commander Sparkle,
Mehdi Bobo,
And smooth sailing.
And your OC sucks!